Now is that... All right. Ouran High School Host Club is an anime that is super near and dear to my heart, as well as many others. It is an anime about boys that are giving people a good time. That's really the way I would sum up Ouran. And it's over 15 years old. I can't believe I'm saying that. What were some key differences in this show compared to the manga? Because I've recently went through reading the manga again, and I've gone way past where the anime got to, and I just thought it'd be interesting for those that might not know. You know, if you didn't read the manga, or if you didn't really have an interest in reading it, and you're just waiting for that day of season 2 like I am, these are some significantly, in my opinion, big differences that the manga did. There's a lot of little differences, but I think these are 6 of the biggest ones. Number 6, we're gonna have an entire spiel about because it's a biggie. So difference number 1 in Ouran High School Host Club is Rengai. There's a lot of folks that say Rengai was really annoying and whatnot. I personally, she was middle. You know, I wasn't annoyed with her or bad, but the thing that's really different with her compared to the anime versus the manga is her role. She is not the manager of the club in the manga. You know, she's not as doing that spinny thing. It just comes up out of nowhere. That's not something Rengai does. Her introduction episode is exactly, what it is in the manga, but what's different is her manager role. She doesn't have that. She does have, times where she gets to cameo as other otaku things that she follows, but she is honestly just a side character at that point. She is just a character that every now and then still appears, and she's definitely super into Haruhi. She's there, but she's not that, an actual part of the club, if that makes any sense. So if you're annoyed with Rengai in the anime, the manga might be for you. Difference number 2, Takashi. Now, Takashi, in terms of the anime and manga, was spot on. That was basically how he, acts and performs and whatnot. The big difference with Takashi, though, is you never got to see his brother. Yes, Takashi has a brother, just like Mitsukuni, aka Honey, my favorite member of the club. That actually might have changed after my reread. I actually rewatched and reread kind of at the same time. I did that because I want to bring Ouran back, and if you do that on official platforms like Netflix, like I did, it shows people that Ouran still matters, but let's stick with the video's topic. Yeah, Takashi has a brother, and that was never in any way hinted in the anime. And Takashi's brother is much more vocal than Takashi is. He definitely says a lot more than Takashi. He's still, in kendo and whatnot clubs, but he has this relationship with Mitsukuni's brother. Why am I calling him Mitsukuni? Both Honey and Mori's brothers, they have that same, cousin bond, and they are around each other a lot. And it's funny because Takashi's brother is a lot more aggressive. That's just something that, we didn't get to see it would have been in the episode that Honey's brother shows up, and we didn't get to see that. And Takashi's brother actually comes up a good deal more in the future, so that's something. Number 3, Haruhi in Wonderland. This is probably one of my lesser favorite episodes of the Ouran show, but I still love it, especially what it means. I do like the anime's version better because the manga, it's much more of kind of a fun chapter. There's still stuff to get from it, and that's overall a big difference between the manga and anime for Ouran, is that the manga does tend to get a bit more comedic with it than the anime does. Believe it or not, that's crazy, right? But Haruhi in Wonderland is you see everybody else kind of play the role of Alice, they instantly agree, Haruhi's just not meant to do that. If she sees the rabbit running, she's not gonna chase it. She's just gonna be whatever, So they have the twins be Alice, they have Tamaki be Alice. It just all plays out very differently, even some of the side characters of who they play as. It's just a very different chapter that, in my opinion, is more funny than the anime did, whereas the anime kind of had a bit more deepness to it. Difference number 4 is Antoinette. I'll give you a second to figure out who that is before I show you a picture. Okay, did you figure it out? Tamakis Dog Antoinette. He has Antoinette throughout the manga. In that episode where you first see Tamaki's indoors place in the anime, Antoinette's there. He doesn't adopt Antoinette the time that the anime does, which is when, Kyoyo's reluctant day out. He says he adopts Antoinette there, but no, it's actually Tamaki's always had Antoinette. And that, to me, is an important difference because when you get to know Tamaki's home life, Antoinette's that you know, that person, that thing that comforts him whenever he's feeling down, or like, you know, instigates when he's bored, like, come on, let's play. You know, Antoinette's a very important, you know, buddy in Tamaki's life. So that to me is a significant difference that the anime didn't show. Difference number 5 is the Halloween episode. Much like Haruhi in Wonderland, the Halloween episode, the scared tournament, you know, in the anime, that happens much differently in the manga. There's a lot of things that the anime took inspiration from the manga in that episode, like they kind of cameo it with the curse of the tower, the witch of the tower or something. That is in the manga, but the manga has a much different storyline where Haruhi is actually supposedly cursed by that ghost, and she gets the curse that they kind of tease at in the anime, where if you see the spirit of the clock tower, you're cursed for life. They tease that Haruhi's suffering from that curse now, and the twins, it turns out like they have this whole plan, of course one of their usual plans, to make it something special. Like they just wanted to spend some time with Haruhi, and it's a much more Haruhi and twins episode. Like their bond as, like, you know, the first year trio, it has more of an emphasis on their bond than the anime did. Now the big difference. Number 6 is, I don't know how much into the video this is, but I imagine this is like the last third of the video, because you know what it is, but let's get into specifics. The final 2 episodes, AKA Cultural Festival. So the Cultural Festival in Ouran happens in both. That's actually something that I don't think people touch upon enough. The Cultural Festival does happen in both the manga and the anime. They just have very significant differences in terms of things that happen. Like, I'm assuming you're watching this if you're an anime watcher for Ouran, and you know, like, there's 2 episodes, you know, they entertain guests, they change suits a lot, they have the horse carriage, and Tamaki, you find out about his family and whatnot. A lot of that actually does happen. The manga does have the horse carriage, it does have them kind of dressing in that last outfits that they had. You do learn about Tamaki's background, the grandma does show up. A lot of stuff actually does happen in the manga that they do in the anime. What doesn't happen, the actual manga has the Cultural Festival as like an entire arc. It is actually, I think, like the biggest arc that Ouran has in its manga up until that point. Because before the festival, you find out like Kyoya doesn't have a rival per se, but like this childhood friend that has a beef with him that is the leader of the sports club or the football club. But the president of that club, the leader of it, is like Kyoya's childhood friend, and he wants to have this competition to settle, hey, who's gonna get that central room? Let's, you know, compete over it. So that's what happens. It leads to like a full 2 or 3 chapters, which the chapters in Ouran are freaking long. And it's, you know, this whole conflict between the host club and the sports club and them solving riddles and whatnot. And then afterwards, then we get to what the anime does, which is the host club being in the central salon, the hall. Like they get that privilege, and they do entertain the guests like they do. But Kyoya and Tamaki's dads, significantly different. Tamaki's dad especially is not as cold to Tamaki. Tamaki's dad in the manga is super into his son. He embarrasses him with how much he actually loves his son. He embarrasses Tamaki with how much he loves him. But then in the anime, he's like, call me superintendent. I'm like, that's really different. And then Kyoya's dad is actually not as much of a dick as the anime pitches him out to be. Like, yes, he puts pressure on Kyoya to make sure, like, hey, make sure, you know, what you do at this festival really stands out. But instead of slapping his son on the face and telling him he's wasting his time, Kyoya's dad is actually like really proud of him at this thing. And he's like, yeah, I actually might consider giving him the company. And he says it like very outwardly, like around Kyoya, like he's so much more proud of his son. There's even a little cute bit about Haruhi, you know, like she learns about Tamaki's lineage and his sad past and whatnot. Like I said, like the grandma still shows up and Honey still hates her and everything. A lot of that still happens. The airport leaving stuff and whatnot, that doesn't happen. Like it kind of happens way in the future differently, and I won't spoil just in case. But yeah, it kind of is inspired by very future events that somewhat similar, but not really. Haruhi's just kind of sad when she finds out, you know, what Tamaki's upbringing is, but it really just results in her kind of cosplaying, like she's dressed as a girl, you know, cosplaying. And she has like actually a really nice moment with Tamaki actually afterwards and figures out, you know, well, He's good. He's good. There's like 80 something chapters, and if you want to kick off like where the anime wrapped up, or if you want to see the cultural festival and all that stuff differently, I'd start around chapter 30. I think it's like chapter 28 before the festival, but if you want to just start off after the festival, it's somewhere in like the 30s. So there you go. Let's bring Ouran High School Host Club back. Check out this video. You'll know what you have to do. Go on Funimation, go on Netflix, reach out to people, share stuff like just, let's make this a year for Ouran. And that's why I wanted to hit you up with another topic. Let me know though in the comments of any thoughts you got in this vid. Check out this vid, and don't forget to be geek, be proud, be awesome. Which by the way, I got that motto from Ouran High School Host Club. It kind of inspired that, so